A cocktail that evolved from the effects of Prohibition, and apparently the go to drink for British spies. James Bond liked his martini shaken, but today we'll be stirring it. Let's get into the dry martini. Just like many classic cocktails, the dry martini evolved over time. Mid 1800s, American cocktails were more sweet, aromatic, and complex. They used to use fortified wines and some sweet spirits, so nothing like the martini or the dry martini that we know today. Martini comes from the cocktail, the older version called the Martinez, which was a sweeter, more sweet vermouth cocktail with Old Town gin. Sorry, and Martini was created when American bartenders, the Martinez, excuse me, was created when American bartenders experimented with more European spirits and liqueurs. What they would do is they would experiment with the Old Tom gin, the sweet vermouth, the Italian sweet vermouth, and they would experiment with maraschino, which was also really high in demand at the time, especially in Europe. So they brought that European flavor to America with experimenting with these types of drinks. And in the 1900s, dry London gin was becoming more popular. So the London dry gin introduced more of a clean, crispy, clear taste, which made bartenders experiment with more dry ingredients to keep up to the demand on the dry gin becoming, or the London dry gin becoming more famous at the time. This made bartenders shift the focus from sweet Italian vermouth to French dry vermouth. And this created the dry cocktail or the dry martini that we know today. The dry martini and the Martini Company, which is a lot of people believe that the cocktail wasn't named after the company, which actually isn't true. So the company and the cocktail has nothing in common. There's no relation whatsoever. The martini was the cocktail named, the dry martini was named after the cocktail evolved from the Martinez. And Martini, the company, gets its name from a business partner. The name of the business partner, well, the business part of the company was called Alexandro Martini. So that's the mix up. Just a coincidence. So, what makes the dry martini dry? What makes the dry martini dry is more gin, less vermouth. Because in the time of Prohibition, vermouth was really hard or difficult to smuggle into the country. So when they get that bottle of vermouth at a time, it will be really scarce. So what they would do is use more gin, basically, less vermouth. And that's ratio sticked. Sometimes they would do the 1 to 2 ratio, which is the one I will be doing today. Sometimes they might even do a 1 to 4 ratio, or at some really scarce occasions, they would even do 10 to 1 ratio. But the one we will be doing today is the 1 to 2 ratio. So 2 pots gin, 1 pot vermouth. Let's get started. So because this is a liquor-based cocktail, we will be stirring it. So make sure you get your stirring glass out. I'll be needing this later. Your bar spoon, we'll put everything off to the side. So stirring glass. What we'll be doing first is we will be adding our ice. I like to add my ice first, and then I would add the ingredients basically. Now there is a whole debate on if a martini should be shaken or if it should be stirred. I believe the reason why the martini has this confusion right now is because of the James Bond movies, which really popularized the term of martini, shaken not stirred. In my opinion, it doesn't make any sense to shake a martini because it's just basically spirits. Well, it's a spirit and a vermouth, which is really alcohol based. I think the reason why I said it is just because it sounds cool to say, go up to bartenders like martini, shaken, not stirred. But if you're really a mixologist, I mean, if you're really into mixology, I think you would feel the same as I do. I mean, it's everybody has their own opinions. I don't want to speak for all mixologists. The reason why you shake a cocktail is because you want to break down the citrus that's in there. So, for example, the reason why we shake a whiskey sour is to break down that tart and that bitterness and all that sour of the lemon to balance the cocktail out. Aromate it a little, so there will be like little like microscopic bubbles in there, I would say, and add some. That will add the texture, which will lighten it up a little. And that's why it doesn't make sense for me to shake a martini because the martini doesn't have any citrus or any type of juice in there. In my opinion, this waters down the cocktail more and it does aerate it up a little, but it doesn't really stay that much, in my opinion. So if you're a person who likes the martini not too strong and you would like it to be a little bit more airy, I would say, or like brighten up the taste, then you can definitely shake a martini. Basically, long story short, it's up to you if you want to shake your martini or stir the martini. What makes more sense is, my opinion, to stir the martini. So what you're gonna need is, like I said, 2 parts to one. So 2 parts gin. You also get vodka martinis. You can do a martini with vodka. I don't know about a tequila martini, not to my understanding, but vodka martinis are pretty famous as well. So I'll be doing 2 ounces or 60 milliliters. But actually, let's do 7 and put in my 6 first. And then I'm going for the extra. I said 7 again. I meant 70 milliliters. And I get extra for that 1 milliliter. Oops. That 10 milliliters, and you did not see that. Close that up. And then we're going to be doing our dry vermouth. So yeah, I'm using Tanqueray London Dry Gin. This is my favorite gin at the moment. And I'll be using dry martini from the company Martini. Inexpensive and still tastes good. All right. So let's put these over there. Stir in your cocktail. You take your bar spoon on the side of the glass, right to the bottom, and you stir in one circular motion. So what I do is I'll be having my 3 fingers up, middle finger, and the point finger, or the pointing finger on each side of the glass. Tuck them in like that. My thumb would be here, and I would just be moving the spoon with both fingers, both my pinky, my middle finger, and my pointing finger. My thumb will basically be in place. Now the reason why the bar spoon is twisted is so you'll be able to do the circular movement. Now the martini, you have to chill a little longer. Right at one point it will stop diluting because it actually really reached that temperature real quick. So that will be enough. So let's put these one off to the side as well. And then you're gonna grab your glass. Make sure your glass is chilled because this cocktail will be served without ice. So, got my glass nice and chilled, as you can see by the sides. Make sure your glass is chilled because this cocktail will not be served on ice. And yeah, so we're gonna strain that right into there. Since you haven't shaken this cocktail, you stirred it, that means there wouldn't really, if you stirred it correctly, there wouldn't be ice crystals in there. So we can go ahead and strain that right into the glass. Just like that. Now, at this point, when it comes to garnish, at this point, you can choose yourself if you would like an olive or a lemon twist or a lemon peel. I'm going with a lemon today because I'm not really a fan of olive, but I also want to get a little bit of that citrusy taste in my drink. So what I'll also be doing is I'll be getting a longer lemon peel, which I can twist up and which will elevate the look of this drink, in my opinion. So cut off that lemon peel like that. And what you want to do is, you see all of these white parts of the peel, you basically want to get rid of that. But then again, there's not much flesh on this one. And what I'd like to do, oh God, ignore that. I would clean it up a little. So cut off the edges so it's nice and smooth. Put it off to the side. As usual, express that oil. So they will build a layer. You cannot see right now, but this oil is basically spritzing all over the drink. So a layer of that oil will sit on the rim of the glass and on the drink. So you will have that citrusy taste. If I look into the light, I can really see that oil laying up there. What I do is, as usual, rub around the glass so you can have some of that citrusy smell on your fingers while you're tasting it. I twist it up like this because in my opinion it just looks better that way. What I do is I will then drop it in like that. The dry martini. Time for a taste test. Yes, so this is a real boozy drink. It has a little bit of that sweetness, not overpowering, so it's really a dry drink. I used Martini Bianco instead of extra dry because I like it a little more sweeter. That extra dry would be really dry. You wouldn't taste much of that sweetness. So this has a little, like, I would say a little note of that sweetness. It's gin forward. That botanicals comes through. And because of the lemon or the lemon oil, it tricks my brain. It has a really citrusy taste to it, which compares really good with that botanicals and the gin. Vermouth has botanicals in as well. It's basically a fortified wine with botanicals. So that compares perfectly with the gin, in my opinion. There's a reason why the martini was the favorite drink of James Bond. It's a real classic. It's something you can drink at a cocktail party. I would say more of a higher class cocktail party, I would say. Something where we can really sip martinis, talk about philosophy, and how the world works. Or maybe some of those, have you checked your finances today? I did my taxes yesterday. It's really crazy how my brain works. Yeah, real boozy, real strong. If you love gin and you love martini, you're gonna love this drink. I promise you. It's a combination between strong, botanical, citrusy because of the lime. If you're using olive instead of lime, it's not gonna be as citrusy, but it's still gonna be good. And this is a sexy drink, in my opinion. So hopefully you try the martini out. Hopefully this video really helped you. And so hope to see you on the next one.